Mette, Rasmus, welcome to #World Food Day.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy.
The first question I'd like to ask you both is, could you talk about your journeys to this point?
So if we go all the way back, I think for me, food has always been at the center of what I'm excited about, from growing carrots as a child and really kind of having a relationship with food, but then also growing up and traveling the world and seeing and discovering food cultures, and also seeing how central it is to what we talk about and how we meet and how we communicate, and how we find joy. So joy, community, health, that really is one of my passions around food. So I have worked for a number of years in biotechnology, and we're seeing now as we advance a kind of a crossover of science, biotechnology, and food. We're looking for new answers to how to feed a growing population, but doing it within the means and the boundaries of the planet. And with that, I got really excited about the opportunity there is to both honor traditions in food and food cultures and food we love, but then also using these new means and ways of making more out of what we have, and thereby cover more needs and bring more sustainable foods that are joyful and delicious to the world, by actually combining gastronomy and deliciousness, but then also with these new tools and ways of working with food, means of fermentation and other kinds of tools where we get inspired by biology and inspired by what nature does to kind of make more food out of what we have.
Rasmus, what about you? I mean, what's your story up to this point?
I mean, I'm from a quite conservative farmer family in Denmark, in Jutland, farming a lot of pigs, and there was nothing. I've never heard the word organic, I think, in my house. Not cultivated in food. I've only been to restaurants like McDonald's until I was 15 and started as an apprentice as a chef. So food has never been something that was filling in my daily life. It was not something that I was excited about. It was just a nutrition that I needed to get to survive, kind of. So suddenly to become interested in the food world, become a chef, and also be passionate about it and be very ambitious about what I want to do was quite a change in my life, very radical, and. I started young as a head chef in different restaurants. I was 22, 21 when I got my first head chef job back in England, and then going to start Alchemist, because I was a little bit tired of this restaurants philosophies where it was all of the same. It was kind of the same narrative for many restaurants. You need to have good products and need to be farmed by somebody you knew. You need to have a ceramist that had a long beard, and then you tapped into that kind of reality, and you created this success. But it was also like, it was not my reality. It was a little bit fake in a way. And I did a lot of charity work, and I got more excited about that, got more happy, got more positive energy back. And I wanted to see if it was possible to take my medium and craft and use that in that way. And could you create a restaurant that will change the world through food? And that was the ambition for creating Alchemist, and later on also creating Spora, which is now a side project from that platform.
I head up Spora. Rasmus and I started working together on Spora 3 years ago, but then starting with the work that was going on in Alchemist, where they had built collaborations and partnerships with universities and companies, and that would kind of really spot that question, how can gastronomy be part of changing the world outside the restaurant? And then we worked from that and then created the Spora 2 years ago as the answer to that, where we combine the two perspectives, gastronomy and the science and technology perspective, so we can be creative and bring deliciousness, but then think forward also in terms of scalability and acceleration.
Amazing. Well, let's talk about both of those in a moment. But first, I'd like to know what's sort of worrying you most at the moment in relation to food. I mean, the World Food Programme won the Nobel Peace Prize for its work around food. I mean, it's fundamentally important to the manifestation of a more peaceful and sustainable world. So what are the big issues for both of you?
For me, we have there's a lot of different dilemmas, I think, in the food industry and the food world and the way that we consume food today. I think there's a lot of the things there's end up being education and understanding about what food is and how we nutrition ourselves in a healthy and sustainable way. I think it's the lack of knowledge, and I think it's a big paradox that we live in a world where we're talking about taking the new, like, more sustainable and healthy choices. A new report came out from Denmark that in primary schools here, 6 out of 10 kids can cook an egg when they go out of primary school. So how should they be capable of taking these good choices that's both sustainable and healthy? So I think there's that part of it which worry me a lot, because you also see statistics saying that we use less time in the kitchen, more time and money on takeaway. So there's the whole aspect on that, cultivating a new generation of taking the right choices and get the understanding of food. There's also, like, the thing that food can do is like bringing people together, having the conversations, the talk, the more psychology part of a meal. I think we're lacking that as well, and I think they'll have big consequences in the future as well. It's a place also to create dialogue and talk, and you see in the world today there's maybe a need for standing up and talking and maybe share a meal and come together and listening to other opinions than what the ones you have yourself. And then there's like all of the other things that, like, people say that our food system is broken. I think it's actually working the way that it's designed. There's supposed a lot of millions into or billions into industries and farming and cultivating food for a bigger growing population. But there's maybe been things that's not been taken into consideration when those investments has been made, like planetary boundaries, the waste stream, the side streams that you have in the industry. And I think there's a need for taking more political actions in that, saying that it's not okay to have a value chain or have a where you have a side stream that actually is a great value in and it can feed a lot of people. But today we don't use it for that. We use it for biogas, we use it for animal feed, because that's easier and it's a better business instead of transform it into something. And I'm worried about that transformation will not happen fast enough. There's too much bureaucracy. There will be too many interested partners in the different industries to try to secure what they have, instead of maybe looking at it as an upside potential there is in these value chains as well.
So many issues that we see in the world today related to the sustainability of the planet or the planetary boundaries, but also to peace and relations between humans is related to food. And it's so complex. And I think what we are really focused on as well is in the educational part, bringing it back to both the craft and the community around the meal, and appreciating food and finding joy in food and finding the conversations in food, and then keeping at the core all the time also for the future that food must be delicious. Related to not having a relationship with food is also maybe seeing food only as fuel, but not as something that's really bringing joy to your life, and is important in that sense in itself. And I think that's really something we want to support. Also, when we talk about foods of the future and this transition that we need to get on to stay within planetary boundaries, if it's all doom and gloom, it's not really a future we want to, we're longing to be part of. And we really want to help make that transition into a more sustainable overall consumption of food that nourishes everyone, but also helps us stay within the boundaries, to make that future something that we can really look forward to, that can be joyful, delicious, that can also be healthy for your family, and then also be sustainable, so that it's not becoming a situation where you feel torn between what you know and love and then what you're supposed to do, and that you don't see those two connected. So it's really, I think, about bringing the future together in the sense of being joyful, something we love, food-wise, and then also being sustainable and healthy.
Could you tell me, either one of you, what it is you're actually doing right now?
Yeah, so what we try to do is we harness the creativity and innovations that happen in the chef world. So like in a restaurant like Alchemist, there's a lot of like innovations, a lot of creativity happening, but it stays within the kind of same sphere. So it's the same world where people and foodies traveling around and try to taste it and be excited about it. But I think, as you've seen before in this culinary world, that it dropped down to the masses. Like, so it come out in shops and stores around the world, but it takes around 10 years sometimes to do that transformation and before the industry pick it up. So could we take some of the creativity and innovation that is scalable, but is also sustainable, and could we then pace that faster out to the majority of people? So we focus on harness that innovation and bring it into scale so it can impact millions of people. And I think especially like one of the things we look into is side streams in different value chains in the industry. And we're also looking at food waste. How can we utilize this? Because like we have a dish in the restaurant talking about hunger in the world. Like it's for me a big paradox that we have a world where we're living in where 800 million people is facing that hunger in one way or another. And then we have 1/3 of all food that is produced for human consumption is wasted and discarded. And especially under the COVID, after COVID, I was like, this is crazy. The world can change. They can change behavior, things that you thought was not possible, stop flying, walk in the same direction. We can agree on everything, and we put the most clever scientists together to create a vaccine. And here we don't need a new vaccine. We have it, and we produce too much of it. So if we had the same kind of urgency to a problem like this, I think we could change the world. And that's crazy that it's not there. But we're looking in specific to different side streams. We have one project going on right now, which I think is interesting. It's our rapeseed cake product. So rapeseed press cake, when you press canola oil or rapeseed oil, you have the seeds. And today we use around 40% of that, which is the oil. And then the rest of it, which is actually the proteins and fibers, we don't use. We put it for animal feed, for cow's feed. But instead of feeding it into a cow first and then eat it, maybe we should turn it into human food first. And we have done that with a new technology that we have, a biotechnology we made here in-house. And for me, I'm of course biased, but I think it's the best meat alternative I've tasted. It's 5 ingredients, so it's quite simple. It's not ultra processed. In that way, it's a very natural fermentation process as well. But then again, the process that we use existed thousands of years in Asia. That way of doing it. But in Europe, it's a novel food. So it will cost us 10-15 million to get this approved. It will take 3-4 years. So we need some kind of like urgency. We need some kind of like fast pace, especially within novel food bureaucracy. And maybe plant-based food should have a little loop in the line to get sorted out faster, because there's a need for these new transformations. What is interesting with the rapeseed press cake is that 51% of the proteins that we grow in Europe is that protein, but we don't use the protein. So it can cover the protein needs on paper around 800-900 million people's life annually if you use this as a human feed instead of animal feed. And I think cases like that is very interesting for us to translate in with deliciousness as a driver for that.
That's very exciting. If people want to come to the restaurant or they want to find out about Spora, how can they do that?
They can reach out like spora.dk or and then get hold of Mette or me or both, and we're very happy to help them also with a table at Alchemist. But what I think is most exciting is we use Alchemist as a platform of change, and I think that's the chefs have this like stars and get attention, and now I'm sitting here and talking with you, and I'm nobody. I have a primary school education. I'm not very clever. I couldn't speak English 10 years ago. So I mean, we get some attention, and we need to use that attention as wisely as possible and drive a change, especially with the world we have today where it's so fragile. And I think that's what we try to do with our medium. And I try to surround myself in Spora with people like Mette from more biotech side, with scientists, with different PhD students, with the chefs as well. And in the end of the day, where we create some products that we hopefully will have a lasting impact.
It's amazing what you're doing. Congratulations, and we wish you the very best on your amazing journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you too.